this mountain lion lesson go?
Okay, and as I spoke earlier, the mountain lion, which is reestablishing itself back into Missouri, as many of you thought, no, not in my backyard, no, it'll never be here. Well, chances are within 20 years, mountain lions will be living in our local neighborhood in forested regions. So let's learn a little bit about them before we judge them. What is a mountain lion? Anybody ever seen a mountain lion? Anybody? No? Nobody? You're not even in a zoo? Well, a mountain lion can be known as a cougar, a puma, panther, or even a catamount, just regionally. Like it's known as a cougar in the north, a puma in the west, and a panther in the south. But that's why the south just always does their own thing. It's the largest in the subfamily Felina, which, so it's basically in the same family as your house cat. How many of you have house cats? How big is your house cat? Jenny, how big is your house cat?
Like 5 pounds.
5 pounds? Well, these get up to about 170 pounds and can be between 5 and 9 feet in length. So it's a pretty big house cat. Like, that might not fit through the kitty door. They're solitary animals with the exception of breeding season, so they typically just occupy like an area of anywhere from 50 to 100 square miles, and they just roam throughout that area, and any food that enters that area is theirs. So any deer that come in there, that's what they hunt. They don't leave their area to hunt unless in an extreme emergency circumstance. Ranges then and now.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's an emergency circumstance?
An emergency circumstance, it's a good question. It could be like a drought, it could be deforestation, food shortages, competition, like a larger male comes into the area, kicks it out. That's what an emergency circumstance is. And then the younger one would have to go find its own territory elsewhere. Range once encompassed all of North and South America pretty much, with the exception of the polar ice caps in Canada. It's pretty much everywhere. But today it's pretty much down to just mountainous regions, such as the Rocky Mountains, some in the Appalachians, the swamps of Florida, and so on. And then here's the ranges. Just this is pretty much what they're limited to now in the purple. And then they used to have all of this territory, but they've been hunted in all of those areas to where there are no more breeding populations. So that's basically just what that means. They were officially extradited in Missouri in 1927. So they've been going on 100 years where there has not been a breeding population in Missouri. But that's changing. Mountain lions in Missouri today. Which brings us back to our question of the day. Are there mountain lions in Missouri today? The answer? Maybe, sometimes. Depends on the season. All we get now in Missouri are just roaming mountain lions. So basically, they're just the lions that just wander in. They're younger, they get kicked out of their territories, such as, like, as I mentioned before, like emergency circumstances. And like a lot of the lions we're getting from today are coming up from Texas and down from South Dakota, and they're generally young males, several females, but they just get kicked out of their home area and they need to find their own territory, and they go to where there are no more larger mountain lions, Missouri. This is just some animals commonly mistaken for mountain lions. Missouri has a booming bobcat population, which is, as you can tell, not a mountain lion. The bobcat is about 3 feet long, and it's generally just, it looks like a large house cat, whereas the mountain lion is noticeably bigger. Mountain lion prey, depending on region, they're the top predator in generally every region except the mountains, where the bears can sometimes get them, but in the Midwest they are the dominant predator. And the Midwestern, their favorite animal to eat is the white-tailed deer. How many of you have seen a white-tailed deer? By a show of hands. Yeah, so generally a lot of you have seen a white-tailed deer, but none of you have seen a mountain lion. And that goes back to our predator-prey relationship. When the mountain lions were exasperated from Missouri, the white-tailed deer population was also on the brink of extinction, but they were protected species, to where mountain lions were no longer breeding population, the deer have boomed almost too successfully, and to where now, without the predator, the deer populations have run rampant and are threatening many other species of ecosystem just by them eating all the food. And that leads back to our predator-prey relationship. Without the mountain lion there, the deer population will increase exponentially, as we talked about in our article before, to where it'll reach its brink, and then it'll have to decrease just because the deer will starve themselves. So without mountain lions there, and then here's some laws protecting the mountain lions. In Missouri, mountain lions cannot be killed unless it's a present threat to humans or livestock, which in general doesn't really happen that often, but if a mountain lion was to walk onto a rancher's property, they would have the right to kill it in current law. A few years ago, hunters killed a mountain lion and were fined up to $5,000 for killing it, and it wasn't a danger, they just went after it. Mountain lions go, and this brings us back to the predator-prey relationship. Humans are the only thing restricting the deer populations now, and they go for the biggest, strongest deer. That's not how nature works. Nature, what the mountain lions would go for is the easiest kill, which would be the weakest deer. So by getting the easiest kill, they are strengthening the deer population and their own population at the same time. They're eating, and the weak deer don't have a chance to reproduce. So that is nature, the survival of the fittest of sorts, if you want to go there. And human hunting is only compounding the deer problem. More benefits of having a breeding population in Missouri. Studies show that mountain lion presence in the area will reduce the deer populations up to 27%, and that's within a short five-year plan. I put this on here. How many of you have seen the movie Bambi? Jenny, have you seen the movie Bambi? Do you like the movie Bambi, Jenny?
Sure, it's lovely.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, most people like see the movie Bambi and they love deer, and they don't warm up to the idea of deer being eaten by mountain lions. That's just how nature works. But is that any better than a deer dying of starvation? Which is better?
Probably a human shooting it. Starvation's a long and painful death.
Yeah, exactly. But without the human shooting it, what would get it? If mountain lions were reestablished.
A mountain lion.
Exactly. And then we would strengthen our ecosystem because the mountain lion is an umbrella species, making it the peak predator, to where everything else is underneath of it. Without that peak predator, your umbrella becomes like more of a T shape, because it's not curved anymore. There's nothing to eliminate it. It's just a T of animal species that won't eat each other, but they're just competing for the same food sources. The mountain lion would bring that umbrella back, and then to have them back in our ecosystem would actually strengthen our ecosystem by controlling the animals underneath of it, limiting their population along the way. And that would help, as we talked before, that would help the deer population genetic-wise. Misunderstood predator. People think the mountain lions would kill them. No, that's really not true. There's only one fatal attack every 7 years about, and that's even sketchy statistics. Some people say it's as many as one every 12 years. But I put 1 to 7 on there. So in conclusion, what do you guys feel? Do you guys feel that mountain lions would be good for our ecosystem?
Yeah, they seem to bring a lot of benefits, especially to the deer population.
Yeah, well, besides eating them. But, Mackenzie, how do you feel?
I feel that they would be beneficial in some ways and not so beneficial in others.
How so?
Well, I feel like one, they would help keep the deer population down, but also then they would grow and thrive, and
exactly, though. But that's its own separate business. Like I read the other day that mountain lions, I was hoping somebody would bring that up, that mountain lion hunting is actually $100,000 business in states that allow it, that have breeding populations that go. So you could almost, the states could, if they allowed for mountain lions to reestablish themselves, would potentially have a revenue avenue if the species really boomed to where they could be hunted themselves for a profit for the state, direct profit. Because mountain lion hunting tags range from $1,000 to $5,000 because you can't really do it everywhere. And it's only done in a couple states, but that would be a good source of revenue. Good point. Yeah, and now we will go on to our article, and then we will debate about this article, so you better read it closely.